Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Eagerly anticipated. Sometimes we deliberate it. Sometimes they try to replicate it. Don't you ever fade it. Happy Wednesday. It's your place for helpful crypto news, commentary, the occasional rhyme, and yes, answers to your crypto questions. Today is Web3 101 Wednesday, and we are so glad that you're here for the ride. So if you've got a question, then let us know. We'd love to do our best to answer it for you. And if we don't see it on the show, then let me remind you the best place to get your questions answered where the show lives 24/7 is the free community at rumshq.com. Just remember, community.rumshq.com. The only thing missing is you. Alex, how are you today?
I'm also pretty tired because I had a thrilling night.
Alex did have a thrilling night.
In the way that you can only have a thrilling night in a very tiny, very niche community. So I was invited to go play poker, which I have literally never played before, at a bar downtown Tybee, meaning on the one block where there is some stuff. And it was a lot of fun. Cam and I were there, and then my realtor was there, as he's there every Tuesday. But the three of us were the youngest by probably at least 25 years. At least 25 years. I think the median age of this poker game was about 65. Dang. And they are just locals. It was a lot of fun. I got hosed. I've never played. Everything I know about poker, I've learned from watching Casino Royale. And,
got it.
Yeah.
So you showed up in a tux, and everyone else had like a pipe in their mouth, a peg leg. It sounds like.
Well, one guy had a cigar, and everyone else was just chain smoking. But no, I've literally never played. It's like a $20 buy-in, and then you could rebuy for like $10. But I went to try to figure out how it all works.
To lose his money.
Yeah.
Tuition.
Did I lose? Yes. Could I have won? Also, yes. But I did not know what I was looking at, and I folded I folded in a situation that I guess you never fold in. Don't come for me. Yeah. So anyway, you know what? I learned. I'll be back. I'll be back next week. And I also apparently made a date today with someone while I was only lightly inebriated to play darts today. And darts I can do. Darts I can hang at. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Fact check yourself, brother. I guess we'll find out one day. We were texting about it. Alex was trying to goad me into moving to Tybee Island, and I was telling Kimberly on the couch next to me about it, and we were discussing Pirate Fest. Another reason to move to Tybee Island is the week-long festival of grog, good spirits, and pirate gangs galore. It sounded so good. And then Kim basically made it her full-time job to research this thing last night, and now we have it without a doubt on our calendar. And you might get more than you bargained for, Alex. I think she's going to sign us up for everything. We're going to have a walking crew. She's going to have costumes. I'm
ready
for this thing.
The staging area for all of the parade floats is quite literally my front yard.
Oh my God. Somebody hide that information from Kimberly.
Yeah, my house was volunteered years ago to be the staging area for the pirate floats, and it just never stopped. And now I live here, and I was like, well, yeah, sure. I'll keep it going. Why not?
Yeah. Obviously.
But no, dude, the way that I discovered that Pirate Fest was a thing was by showing up to work this time last year, and the island was just covered in drunk pirates. And I was like, dude, what the hell? Everyone's golf carts look like little mini pirate ships with Jolly Rogers hanging off the back and all sorts of paraphernalia and pirate accoutrement and all sorts of stuff. So then I felt like I missed out. So this year we went all out. It's gonna be good.
Tori says in the comments, Rums is asking to be part of Pirate Fest. It has rum in the name. And then she says,
Correct.
13 Booty Cove is your address.
Crap, now I've been doxxed.
Oh my gosh.
This is a gross
Also in the
misrepresentation
comments,
of
we've
fact.
got our friend Katie Just Cannot, who says, I need a one-off show where Alex responds to Hexith's whole deal.
Oh,
And I am Ray Todd says, OMG, I'm still alive without the government.
I am a big fan of this.
Hooray.
that
And,
that was
happened.
so embarrassing.
What
our
specifically was embarrassing?
Every word that came out of his face was embarrassing. It felt like if a toddler, like a pre-tween watched like a couple SEAL Team 6 movies and then decided they were going to give a speech based on their newfound personality of just being a warrior.
Oh,
It was awful. So it was so embarrassing. I am embarrassed. Every other veteran I know is embarrassed by that. Awful.
well, Alex, you're going to have to give a one-off show on it another time because today
Another
is,
time.
in fact, Web3 101 Wednesday. And we do have the Web3 questions rolling in, though I will give one last read to this comment from our friend Bearded about the poker game, who says, Alex, you need to stay in that game because there's lots of wisdom around that table. And I think that is.
Correct.
Yeah,
So-
the man sitting next to me was a plumber named Bo with a very thick Louisiana accent, and I understood, I'm proud to say, at least every sixth word.
Oh, my goodness.
Like
gracious.
I almost felt like I could follow because he got drunker as the night went on, and he just kept talking to me, and I could tell it was a great story every time. But I just don't know what to say.
Okay, well, if you've got
Anyway.
a story about pirates, poker, or a question about cryptocurrency, then this really is your place. This is Web3 101 Wednesday. Every day we share answers to your crypto questions, but this is the day every week where we try our best to share the most helpful news, commentary, and information. This is the show you share with your friends, your barber, your mother, your kindergarten teacher, if they are curious or skeptical about cryptocurrency. And one of the first questions that rolled in is from our friend Rada on YouTube, who asked, can we get estimated sats that you hold? Maybe 500,000. First of all, what is a sat? And why does it matter in the context of Web3 101 Wednesday? You want to take it, Alex? And then I'll let you guess how many sats I have.
For just a quick second, I thought you were genuinely asking what a sat was, and I was like, well, that's the end of the show. I think that's where we shut it down.
Alex, I'm always genuinely asking because
I know.
somebody out there is too.
It's true.
And I just
well,
want them to know it's okay.
Sat is shorthand slang for Satoshi, which is sort of like the cent to a dollar is the Satoshi to a Bitcoin, except instead of 100, there are 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. And it's just the tiniest unit of measurement.
Beautiful.
Well, for Bitcoin.
Okay, and
That's
do you
literally
want
all
to
it is.
guess how many I have?
At least 25.
At least 25, but not 2,500 million. That's your range. I have less than 25 whole Bitcoin. I have more than
Me too.
25 millions of a Bitcoin, and that's about it. So thank you very much. We have friends in the comments who are saying 100 million per Bitcoin. Yes, that's correct. It means that your Bitcoin, as it goes up in value, is indeed divisible up to 0.00000001. Did I get that right? I think that's as many zeros as there are. Double check me. Somebody give me a fact check. But if the price of Bitcoin continues to increase, that means it will still be usable even if I just want to send Alex a little reimbursement for grog. So very well done. Sliced like stocks. Yes, that's exactly right.
Speaking of reimbursing for grog, I saw a little post this morning. Did you see the announcement from Phantom about Phantom Cash?
No, let's talk about it.
They're coming for Cash App.
Phantom Cash is coming for Cash App. Oh my gosh. So this is the latest, it sounds like, in a series of developments in this stablecoin payments play space that I personally expect to see a lot more of in crypto. The tagline is Phantom Cash, New money now in your wallet. Alex, how'd you hear about this?
Twitter. I did.
Unsurprising.
They just posted it. I threw my name on the waiting list, or the whatever list. I literally only read the headline. The beautiful part about it is that I literally only had to read the headline to know exactly what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. A series of crypto apps that everyday people can understand and actually want to use.
Yeah.
It says whether tapping to pay for sushi, receiving in-app payments, or sending money across the world in seconds, Phantom Cash makes it feel effortless, and it's powered by, in all caps, cash. So it looks like you can have instant bank funding, off-chain to on-chain, meaning regular government dollars into cryptocurrency that you can start using quickly to sell, roll multiple positions into cash. Cash must be this particular cryptocurrency, or perhaps it's a middle token. We had William Quigley say this on the show, the co-founder of Tether, and I am inclined to agree as I see products like this roll out that there are going to be more products that call themselves crypto or crypto adjacent products but aren't truly on chain. It's probable and possible that Kraken has a partnership with a bank or has the infrastructure themselves to essentially keep track of these points the way your bank keeps track of digital dollars and can reassign them from account to account or settle balances at another time. They've got a debit card as part of this. You can pay anyone in the world with a Phantom username instantly with text-based P2P payments coming soon, and earn on eligible balances. KYC not required. Interesting. To use on-chain Phantom Cash features. However, certain off-chain features like virtual accounts, direct deposit, and debit cards do require KYC. I was right. So it's a hybrid solution. Some of it is on-chain, some of it is off-chain. I'd be curious to know what our crypto friends think about that in the comments. That makes it kind of like Kraken is your bank. Mm-hmm. And Cash Indeed is a fully backed USD pegged stablecoin on Sol that keeps your spending experience seamless. Existing stables weren't built for everyday life, so we built the one we wanted. And you can learn more at the website is usecash.xyz. Nice. Very interesting. I do expect we'll be hearing more about that. You said you're signed up for the beta?
Yeah. And I think the only thing I really disagree with is just that, I'm curious to compare. Because comparative analysis is the best way to become an informed consumer. And I'm not sure how it'll hold up to say that other stablecoins were not meant for everyday use, because USDC kind of feels like it's hardcore moving in that direction too, with all of its integrations and whatnot. So I don't know if I buy that, but I mean, that's marketing, baby.
That's marketing, baby. Ethicalish brings up the point that Kraken has crack. Mm-hmm. I assume this is the same type of thing. And this is the play we're going to see from companies like Kraken, like Coinbase, probably like Phantom, probably like MetaMask. I think this is what MetaMask is trying to do with MUSD. I think this is what Coinbase is trying to do through its partnerships with various banks and with USDC. The problem for, any of these crypto companies is they've got one piece of the pie. Phantom was a wallet. MetaMask was a wallet. Now MetaMask's got a stable coin that they want you to use on their platform so they can capture a little more of the pie. Coinbase, they have these partnerships with banks. They have a partnership with a stablecoin provider so that you can have, what's it called, Alex? I believe that's in-kind redemption, where if I've got money in my bank, it also shows up as money in Coinbase that I can, spend there. That's going to be the kind of thing we see more often as these crypto companies start to look more and more like banks. And honestly, I'm excited about everyday people getting to spend crypto. I'm excited about them learning about it, but I'm less excited that the kinds of experiences that seem most likely to introduce them to it are going to take away a lot of the kinds of true perks and benefits of direct ownership that crypto promises. I don't know. I'm not worried that it's going to change crypto. You can't change crypto. It's an open foundation. But I am a little concerned that they have such a head start. You know what I mean? And that they may delay an eventual decentralization and power concerns me.
I mean, yes, I don't disagree, but also it was inevitable. So I don't know, maybe I've just been mentally prepared for a while that this kind of thing was going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't see any other way that it could have gone, to be honest.
No, nor do I. Ricky says in the comments, believe in something. Thanks, Ricky. We'll try.
Amen.
And CryptoBoat says, it sounds like we just traded one sort of system for another. Same old, same old. And I guess that's what I'm worried about, you know?
Yeah, I think if you think about it, I don't think about this in terms of absolutes, right? Like, we're not done. Also, I would rather see a baby step than like no progress or just an awful fake solution. So, example, if the problem is that we don't have great control over our assets, over our money, if we are just being absolutely hosed by these large companies, like I said, I think I gave the example the other day of getting my USAA savings account interest statement from the last 12 months or whatever, and it was like 17 cents total. So
no.
So they own the money. I would hazard a guess that they were able to make a little bit more than 17 cents off of having me as a customer for the year. And there's shitty customer service, there's all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
If the baby step is that, like, hey, I'm going to get a new bank. This bank is called Coinbase, and my savings account earned 4.5% interest over the year instead of 0.01%. That's a baby step, but it's a pretty good one. And from there, it's kind of the gateway to doing something else. So you have the ability to then move those assets easily off of Coinbase, much more easily than if you were to close a bank account and get them to transfer that money for you somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So it's a baby step. I think progress gets hindered constantly because we feel like the solution that's being presented or the idea that's being presented is not absolutely perfect, that we just end up doing nothing forever.
Yeah.
A great example of that we don't need to get into is violence of a particular variety with a particular style of weapon, right? Like, lots of ideas about wanting to do something to curb that, no consensus on the idea, so we just end up doing nothing and we let it sit there forever.
I was like, what?
You can apply that to literally any topic in politics. You have big issue, potential solutions, disagreement on the potential solutions. Nobody ever does anything because nobody can agree on anything, and we just languish on the hill. I would rather see an attempt at progress. Languishing on the hill? Yes, it is. That's the American dream. I would rather see an attempt at progress and fix a little piece. Maybe you even present a new issue in that sense. So with Coinbase, for example, right? We've solved the issue that I'm not getting anything in return for my money. I'm getting a little bit bigger piece of the pie. But I am still at the mercy of this centralized company, which now, for a while had potentially less oversight. Maybe it was a little bit shadier than a bank who has a lot more regulatory scrutiny. And I don't know, banks get away with shit all the time. So who knows how hard that scrutiny actually is looking, but you know what I mean? Still at the mercy of getting my account locked, still at the mercy of being subject to whatever their platform rules, their terms and conditions, yada, yada, yada. So baby steps.
Baby steps. And I agree with you. I also agree with Rada. Concerned that as technology advances, those baby steps will lead people to take a little more. But ultimately, what gives me faith is that it's an open foundation.
Yeah.
Decentralization is the thing. And the fact that this is open source, that it's permissionless, that it's built on the internet, that what are they going to do? Take away, close down the internet, shut down your grocery store, your hospital? All those things are made less likely by the existence of the technology that makes cryptocurrency possible. And I do agree with you and with Tori. Some people do need handholding. They need a little help. Our education here sucks. The user experience needs some finesse so that people can understand the responsibility of self-custody and also the differences. What makes this truly different? And we've got a couple of comments I've seen this show so far that I would like to dig into about one of our friends of the show, Carrot, DeFiCarrot, as a good example of the kind of onboarding experience. And there are several others that I'd like to have on the show. We had Glider. Glider is great. We had Jeff the Dunker talking about Odyssey Finance, a great way to make 3 to 50x leverage DeFi looping strategies that only degenerates understand, accessible to everyday people in a single click, if you're into that kind of thing. And then another one I'm so excited about, honestly, I think they're doing the best in terms of user interface, is Reserve Protocol, reserve.org.
Yeah.
If you have not seen this, I would really encourage you to check it out. I haven't had them on the show. I saw them at permissionless, or maybe it was consensus. I honestly don't remember, but the commercials they have are crypto you can introduce to your parents. And hey, I know we have a lot of parents in the audience, a lot of grandparents in the audience. So this is no shade to you. I think this is a commercial meant to appeal to the crypto user tech bro who's like, we have a problem, I don't understand it, in a way that maybe they can understand. And it's got these indexes where there are these baskets they call DTFs. Oh, maybe it's not going to let me show you, which represent a bunch of underlying tokens. They have a DTF that is 50% Bitcoin and 50% ETH. You buy one thing, you can buy it with a credit card. And they have one that represents the top 20 tokens. So you never have to change what you're holding. Even as the market changes, they automatically do it for you. You can rebalance your portfolio the way you might in an app like Robinhood. And I just think the user experience is so seamless. Looks like this for our friends in podcast land. It's got a little explainer on the front, prompting you to discover decentralized token folios like ETFs, but for crypto. How simple and helpful and clear is this language? They've even got a button that says, watch our DTF explainer, or you can just click to discover. The website looks intuitive. It shows you how much is in reserve. You can learn about the different kinds of tokens that are here. You can look for index DTFs, yield DTFs, stable coins. Everything has an explanation, and it's just got I will say what I don't like is it does still have a click to connect button. Somebody might not be able to use this if they don't know about a wallet, but this is the kind of thing we need more of. And Alex, you said that you actually had done some depositing over on DeFiCarrot, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got light
sure
mode
did.
on. Look at this. What was your experience like? I've got a screen share I can do, but maybe you want to talk through it a little? Because we've had like 3 comments about this.
Yeah,
If you,
I can talk through it in 12 seconds.
Okay, if you saw the episode about DeFiCarrot, let us know. Or if you haven't heard of DeFiCarrot, if you're depositing, let us know if you're like hip to them. If you're not hip to them, what your level of experience is, because that was, what was it, Alex? Last Thursday, this would be episode
Yes.
370 something of the Rise Up Morning Show. If you wanted to see the recording, it was a fantastic overview of, like, in the week, this whole week we were talking about user experience in crypto, why you didn't think that was the problem so much as better onboarding, education, and actually good products were. And here comes along a product that was pretty easy to understand and abstracts away a lot of the difficulty of crypto in the background with a single token experience. I thought it was really well done.
No, very well done. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Could be,
But it could be.
but it's not. No, I do want to clarify, because I've had this conversation a couple times since I gave that hot take. I don't think my hot take was not that we can be done with UX, that UX is perfect and that it's all good. UX meaning user experience, meaning what you do as the user as you are using these different protocols and projects and platforms and stuff. It's that people use bad UX as a crutch to try to market a shitty product that nobody wants by blaming UX instead of blaming the fact that you did not find product market fit. It's a crutch. It can always be improved in everything, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I just think there are some things that if you're using a crypto-based application, you're going to have to do. I'm sorry, you're going to have to get used to the idea of connecting a wallet to a thing and approving a transaction. I don't think that's bad. I think that's a skill that anybody can learn just like anything else.
Yep.
I don't think that there's a need to obscure all of the tech and hide everything. Has anyone ever watched somebody try to use a smartphone for the first time?
Do you remember? This is not a smartphone, but immediately when you said that, do you remember those phones that you could chirp? I think is what it was called with. I feel like you would have loved these phones, and you could like walkie-talkie your friends. Do you remember the commercial with the elderly folks? Do you remember the elderly folks having the party? And that was the commercial, and it was like,
oh, I never saw the commercial. But
the concept was like, we will show you how easy this is to use, and it was like a bunch of 90-year-olds around like a fire with like beer bottles, and some old lady was like, I'm getting 10 kinds of nasty with my friends.
Oh,
and it was like all this like slang and lingo and jargon, but it was like, this is how easy it is to use. It was great.
I didn't see the commercial, but I do remember the phones. And it was great. My family, we had 2 of those, and then whoever like left, if the family ever, split up to go, errands here, or travel here, or do this, whatever, someone would take one and the other one would stay, and then it was just like constant walkie-talkies. They had the little, antenna that you pull out of the top of the phone and then it flapples around.
I love that. Bring those back. I would use those all the time.
Dude, bullish. But that's my point, right? Like, you get a new piece of tech, you have to learn how to use the new piece of tech. This is new tech. We have to learn how to use it. There's nothing wrong with that. And this one is, maybe it's more high impact, right? Because like we're talking about the custody and the safety and the responsibility for your money. So yeah, the stakes are higher than learning how to use a smartphone. But
Alex, can you give me a little screen share? You have it at the ready?
Yeah.
So DeFiCarrot,
let's try this one out.
Replaces and abstracts this process of needing to buy and swap different tokens with swapping your stablecoins for their CRT token, Carrot. And watch out if you look this up. There are many tokens with the ticker Carrot. Rada and I were talking about this the other day in the community. And one of them is like, in the toilet or whatever. But it represents a basket of underlying assets that generate yield. And that yield, meaning like interest, is added to the value of the token. So this is a token that looks like a scam token when you pull up the chart. It only goes up over time.
It's important to note that this is one of those times, though, where, how Evan always says, crypto is going to do so much more than money, the same way that your phone does so much more than make a phone call. We have to. Yeah, he does. He gets a ding for self ding. We have to stop treating every single thing that is tokenized as if it is the same thing. Right now, we look at everything that is a token as a speculative investment. And sometimes, and hopefully more and more and more as we get farther into this whole thing, sometimes people are going to create things that are tokenized that are not meant to be investments. They're not meant to be a speculatively traded thing. They're meant to be a representative of something else. If we get to the point where we're tokenizing more real estate or, your cars, right? This whole RWA thing, you're going to start to see more and more and more and more of this. So this is one of those things wherein the token that it was created for a very specific purpose, to do a very specific thing. It represents something very specific, and it's not going to behave the same way that another token does. So when it's catchy to say like the token only goes up, but that's not really, it's not really.
I do want to highlight this comment from Eddie that said, what goes up must come down. And Mr. Robot Steckler's response, Eddie, accept my weight.
You guys. All right. So this is the homepage, and literally all you do from start to finish is enter the application. I've already connected a wallet. I use Phantom. I use it for everything that I can. And then it's right here. You just enter an amount of USDC that you would like to deposit, hit deposit, and that's it.
And it shows you over time. Alex, can you go down to that chart a little, just a little more, please?
Yeah.
It shows you over time how interest is accruing to these tokens. So this is a reflection, it's a little blurry there, of like hour by hour, the portfolio value, and the steady line is the net deposits. The golden line is earnings. And you can see day by day, if this interest remains steady, you're going to expect that to stay the same. Now, Rada and others pointed out, and in fact, James, co-founder of DeFiCarrot, talked about this on our show, about how one, that's going to change over time as more people like come to the token. Two, it's going to change over time because they hope to diversify from just like one token, one strategy to, many different strategies, kind of like Reserve, has all these different tokens you can buy that you would expect to perform differently on a different risk profile, whatever. Like, products from your money manager might be. And then I would say, like, the third thing that actually is a little concerning to me, tokens like this can be traded on any market. And he made kind of a quick mention on the show that when you trade this token on their interface, it's redeemed for cash in an appropriate way, and it doesn't affect the market or the volatility. But if you were to trade this on another decentralized exchange or over the counter or something like that, then that could affect the price and the yield in a more impactful way. I forget exactly how he said it, but basically, they need to control the trading of these tokens and the redemption of these tokens for cash to help ensure the interest rate. If you're selling them other places, then that could have impacts on the price that kind of throw their groove off a little, so to speak. Sorry to not be very articulate about it, but that's something that products like this are going to have to think about as they continue to innovate.
Yeah, no.
The question, what is this token? Alex, the ticker is CRT, correct?
Yes.
And what's the docs website? I know it's DeFiCarrot.com. And from there, they have docs. If you want to go to the app, it's use.deficarrot.com. But the docs website, it's got a little cartoon carrot on it, and it says, earn yield, stay liquid, be stable. And they've got all kinds of answers to your questions about like the contract address, the features of the token, and the yield strategies that are underneath the token. Alex, do you remember? I know he mentioned Jito, but he said there's a couple of things that they're doing on Solana to generate yield for these, right?
Yeah. Sorry, the dogs are...
We can barely hear them.
Okay.
But we feel them in our spirit.
Their angst, their anger, their excitement about liquidity, perhaps? Hard to say.
Hard to say. The dogs do be barking about liquidity.
They do be.
So plenty of information here.
So this is just docs.deficarrot.com.
Great. That's DOCS, docs. Very cool. Look at that. Little carrot, little stick. We do have a couple of other questions rolling in if you're ready to take a trip away from the old carrot here.
Absolutely.
One of the questions is, what do we think Bitcoin is going to do in 2026? Specifically, do we think that it's going to have another all-time high or top? And I'd be curious just to know what we think our prospects for Bitcoin are. I've got the 8-ball right here that maybe can give you a more accurate answer than me and Alex, which says avoid FOMO, like that answer. But I would just be curious for a sentiment check. If you're listening right now and you're in a place where your thumbs are at the ready, let us know in the comments how you're feeling now about Bitcoin, the market generally. Are we going higher? And then what do you think about 2026? This is my equivalent of Calvin Hill. Leave a 1 in the chat if you hear me. But don't leave a 1. Please don't say we're going to 1. I can't take your answer seriously. What are you thinking and feeling, Alex? I feel like it's been a minute since I've heard you speak about what your perception of the sentiment is in the air right now.
I think it's mostly tired. I think it's frustrated because we're seeing a lot of clash between what we feel like should be and what is, as is influenced by, honestly, a lot of government intervention in many different ways. So right now, I mean, where is it going? Higher eventually. I've never been one to confidently say like time frame on anything, and that has informed my trading strategy quite a bit because I don't read charts, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I just, hey, you know what? Like here's a great example. What's because it's always with Solana, just because it's easier for me to track and pay attention to one thing. It's up 5.7% today. That's nice. So nearly 6% return in
considering
24 hours.
It was whoop yesterday,
Yeah.
kind of down.
Well, and considering that what is that overall? It's it was down to what, 197. It was above 195, I think, was my last entry. So I am going to look at that as like, hey, I bought this thing less than a week ago for 197, and right now it's 218.85. That's a pretty good return in less than a week.
I would say so.
I'll capitalize on it a little bit, but I don't know. I'm feeling very like unsure in terms of the overall state of things. Like when we have our think tank kind of thing, right? It's like on-chain metrics are saying one thing, pretty consistent user growth. And actually, I ran a pretty long. I was sitting here with Perplexity Labs for a while trying to accumulate a whole crap ton of data. And
Perplexity, for folks who don't know, is Alex's preferred learning tool. It's a GPT, like Chat GPT or like Claude, but slightly different.
Yeah, it uses some of OpenAI's products. It's reference 4.0. It has some of its own proprietary stuff. I found it to be better at researching and organizing research and all that kind of stuff. So if you're digging around here, let me find my little chart, because I asked it. Okay, here's the last question that I asked it. What kinds of data would we want to look at if we were trying to determine whether or not this current cycle was going to follow similar time structures to previous cycles? A lot of analysts are saying that the 4-year cycle is dead, but based on basic time structures, we're nearing the end of what would normally be called a full cycle, suggesting that we are near the beginning of a bear market again. Although, obviously in 2021, we did not peak until November. Can I just address that really quick? Because I've seen that like 1,000 times in the last week, that this like number circulating of like how many days a bull market is, like between 500 whatever and 500 whatever, and how September 30th was like the end piece. Google's free. That's flat out wrong. And I've been seeing it everywhere. It's being posted in the circle. It's all over Twitter. That like September 30th was like the end of this thing. It was November 9th. Anybody with an internet connection can look that up.
So I'm looking for this in a place I know I've seen it, but
which piece?
The real. Yeah, thing? I'm looking on the reference to 500 so many days, 500 this many days, and I just can't find it because I want to read people in a little more. Like what's the I'm just frantically scrolling and trying to.
Someone has seen what I'm talking about. It's stall. The point is that it's just flat out wrong, and I was just like, we are just like so confidently posting completely wrong information, which is nuts to me. The cycle peak last time was not September 30th. It was in the beginning of November. Sorry, I don't make the rules. So in that case, if we're following the same structure, then there's still a while, which is why people are, more historically excited in October, not as excited in September, Rectember, October, Uptober, right? So anyway, asked it this big old question. This is with a tool called Perplexity Research, which just does a better job of accumulating specific information and citing sources. And it listed several things: cycle length, timing and peaks, on-chain adoption and sentiment, profit taking and investor positioning, market sentiment metrics, macro and correlated assets, network protocol fundamentals, and qualitative structure. And while you chew on all of those large jargon words that we'll break down in a second, I'm going to go figure out why my dogs are all having heart attacks.
Okay, Alex. We'll see you in a minute.
Not ideal.
In fact,
it's just stupid.
But nonetheless,
I am a big fan of this.
So let me take this moment to remind you that the Rise Up Morning Show is live Monday through Thursday. We are a great show to listen to with your friends who are curious or concerned about cryptocurrency. We're a great show to listen to with your dogs. In fact, they rate us 4 out of 5 barks. The 5th bark, he was a Chihuahua, so he was just mad at everything. And today is Web3 101 Wednesday. It's a great time for your crypto questions. If you've got them, leave them in the chat. And if you're listening in the future, first, hello, we hope your candles are green. Leave your questions where the show lives 24/7. I'm talking about the free Rise Up community. That's rumshq.com. Or remember, community www.rumshq.com. We have got so many great forums there, great members from all around the world at all levels of experience. I often say it because it's true. The only thing missing, my friend, is you. And I would especially love if you are a first-time listener or you're a new listener who's just lurked and never commented, then let us know how you heard about the show and what kind of crypto user you are. Are you somebody who's curious, skeptical, or concerned about cryptocurrency, but you don't own any yet? Are you somebody who owns maybe cryptocurrency as an investment? If so, let us know. Let us know if you're a builder in the industry. I do see a lot of our friends here who work here, folks who are content creators, folks who are engineers and analysts. Shout out to Mike hanging out over at base. I hope you're having a good time these days. Ray Todd says, heard about it in prison.
Hey man, this is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
Even in the slammer, they play the Rise Up morning show, which I appreciate. A quick question from Rada says, when can we see ETH Panda conference in USA or Canada? And Rada is referring to yesterday's guests. We hosted our fellow colleagues from Octant's Epoch 9 cohort, including Valen from ETH Panda. And they are not hosting a conference. They are attending a conference like so many of our colleagues right now. Token 2049 is happening in Singapore. Alex and I are suffering extreme FOMO and jealousy, but it is a serious congregation of crypto users worldwide. And I do have it on good authority that they've got those hats that she was wearing, those cute little hats with the panda on them, on back order, and that when they get up to the front of the queue that we might be able to hook our friends up with a little panda hat or two. Folks are all around the world. I see here in Bangkok. I see tuning in from a TikTok feed. I want to try crypto, but have been too scared. This is from Aiden, Alex, who says, I'm too scared, but where to start? We'll get to that right after Alex resumes his thoughts on Bitcoin and perplexity. I think you were just about to get into the meat of your thesis.
Yeah. That was my five-headed, many-legged burglar alarm. I don't know, there's just some dude from the insurance company, I guess. So they were doing their job. This time, the dogs were justifiably barking at some weird dude creeping around the outside of my yard. Anyway, I want to read one more little prompt that was the precursor to the one that I just did, and then I'll kind of give you the overview. The one thing about the way that Perplexity presents data, if you wanted to use it to kind of help amplify your research, is that it really gives you a ton. So sometimes what I've done is take like a huge readout with all of its listed sources from Perplexity and send it to another one to have it sort of like summarized or reorganized or anything like that, because this is more of like a, data dump. There's just a ton of information. But it's getting a lot better at kind of like organizing it and formatting the answers to be a little bit more legible instead of just like a big block of text. So the thing that I asked it right before that was, let's compare on-chain activity from right now to other times at similar points in the market cycle. What are we seeing right now compared to back then in terms of growth, more aggressive fall-offs, or any other kinds of metrics? And I think it's more beneficial to start with this one because it kind of paints a picture. So the big categories that it breaks this down to are Bitcoin and major layer ones. Layer ones are blockchains. That's the kind of the base layer ecosystem. The layer one is the thing that secures it. The layer two is the thing that makes everything faster, and the layer three is all of the stuff. So Ethereum is probably the most popular, most famous layer one. On top of Ethereum, because Ethereum is notoriously slower and more expensive, but has better security. So you could put something like Polygon over the top of it. That's a layer two to make it faster and cheaper. And then people could build applications on top of that, which would be layer three. There's a lot of layers. So Bitcoin and other major layer ones. And then let's take a look at September 2025, because I was specifically kind of talking about this most recent correction, like how to try to determine, differences between this dip and past dips. What's happening on chain that could inform this? Is this more of like a speculative fall off and dump? Is it more news related, or is there something bigger happening on chain, as we say, to contextualize this whole thing? And then it highlighted Solana and Ethereum specifically to talk about growth and churn. Churn is like the rate at which you lose users. So Solana has notoriously high churn because lots of wallets get created to do something specific and then they go away. So, average wallet age length on some of those new wallets is like 15 minutes and then it's gone.
Oof.
And then just basic seasonal and cycle patterns where it talks about kind of, September 2025 defying the Rectember pattern because September is historically negative. And while it may feel like it was like that because of how the month ended, overall, that is really not the case. And then we were seeing lots of whale and institutional accumulation, not like a large exodus. So let me find this one little metric that it popped up because this was interesting. Okay. So this is specifically about Bitcoin, comparing these different things. HODL behavior and illiquid supply. 74% of all Bitcoin is now illiquid, meaning it's in cold storage or in long-term HODL. Hold on for dear life. HODL is an acronym, came from the spelling of the word hold, and we've adopted it, and now it's still here. Significantly higher than previous bull markets. So that was an interesting discrepancy between this time and last time. That just kind of indicates investor maturity, confidence. People are more in line with this idea that Bitcoin's just going to continue to go up. I really don't want to sell it. I just want to get some of it and I want to hold it. The plus, so the 1 year plus HODL wave, which is just like the amount of wallets holding and have been holding for at least 1 year, is growing. It's at like record highs, even through this September correction. So that was interesting. And then basically, this is typically, when you see this kind of thing, it's more of a signal of like mid-cycle strength rather than like the end of the cycle exhaustion. However, Evan, you asked me about my sentiment.
Yeah.
It feels like we've been doing this for a lot longer than we have been, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just because a lot of us are becoming more and more and more involved. And maybe last time you weren't quite as tapped in.
Or because, like Solano, we're dead inside.
Or that. Yeah, that's
just become
possible.
numb to it. You first start crypto and you're like, wow, it's going up and down and up and down and up and down. And now it goes up and down, man. I'm on the ship.
No, for sure. But also, I mean, just the more involved you get in something, then, the more you pay attention to it, the more little subtle nuances you notice that exhaust you. I saw Devin Yaboyski was talking the other day just about how, people say this market's a lot harder. I mean, 2021 was, and he made the point, there was a meme that he was circulating, that, the cycle in 2021 was basically the same. It basically ran the same. It just didn't feel as exhausting, and now like, oh, we're back here again. It just feels more exhausting, or like we're trying harder, or, like I got this feeling a lot in my second cycle because the first one, I bungled it pretty hard. And so the second one was like trying way too hard to like not bungle it. And then I did it again because I was over invested. I was way too emotional and all these kinds of things. And now this time I'm just like, yeah, whatever, it's going to do what it's going to do. So I don't know.
Can I think slightly tangent just a little bit to a related topical question, and then I'll bring it right back to you, which is people ask about like, okay, between now and 2026 or whenever the next high is, there are all these little events like the government shutdown. What's that going to do to crypto? I think a lot of beginners especially worry that news events and world events are going to have a huge impact on it. And I just wanted to speak to those people because I saw that comment a few times. Government shutdowns, believe it or not, actually don't have that much of an impact, historically speaking, on cryptocurrency. In fact, sometimes during government shutdowns, we've even gone up. Mostly, though, we have either gone a little sideways, a little down, a little up, meaning that there's no strong, persistent signal for whatever reason that Bitcoin specifically, but crypto markets more broadly, are tied to government shutdowns. And I think this is because crypto is a globally traded asset. And though the US has a significant influence, it's influenced by many macroeconomic and regulatory and sentiment factors. So it tends to be kind of a diluted thing, not a big cause for concern. As we're on our way to 2026, doesn't mean Bitcoin's done or over. That's the cool thing about it, right, Alex? Is like, doesn't matter what your government or my government is doing. Bitcoin is global.
Yeah.
Crypto is permissionless. It's everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, government shutdowns can impact specific things, which could impact markets. Like the longer they go on, you have more and more people who are out of work or not getting paid, because obviously government employees, including the military, stop getting paid. And there are stopgaps, like USAA as a bank used to like front military, active duty military members like a paycheck if they missed one because of this whole thing.
Yeah, or even like the stimulus payments we got from COVID.
Yeah,
that was in the comments.
The other thing that could impact things is if the market is, Will pointed this out yesterday in the video, if the market is looking for specific data to be, tabulated and released, but the government agency in charge of that data is shut down, then, you might not get that data on time, which could stress markets. But I mean, like you said, the last time the government shut down was in what? Was that 2018?
2018, I think.
Like over a month.
Fact check yourself, brother. Yeah.
30,
Fact check
35
yourself,
days,
brother.
I believe. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it was December to January.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not. I don't know. I think nothing. We'll see. We'll see how long it really depends how long it goes. This thing could be over quickly. It could be another month. Who knows?
But the point is, it doesn't have you really down. You're weathered, but you're not feeling hopeless. And you didn't say this specifically, but I feel like I know from you that Bitcoin's going to probably continue after some hiccups going up and to the right as more people continue to adopt it, as it becomes harder to acquire, more costly to acquire. And so we're buying it all the time. I buy it every day.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a good time to transition to answer this question from our friends who are asking, if we're just getting started, where to start? And in fact, Alex, as we prepare to answer this question, what I would like to do is something novel, something new, because if you can believe it, Alex, the sea.
Tax app.
No, the sea is restless today. I can feel the waves breaking across the bow of our show's ship and through the static of our sonar. There. You hear it? Beneath the surface, we've got him. That, my friends, is our partner of the show, the white whale. Moving vast and unseen, carrying with him the weight of the waters and wisdom from the depths, we have charted his course, and now we draw near to his presence. From the fathoms below, he rises with lessons not in haste, but in power, to share what only he has seen. Steady your hands, my friends. Open your ears and prepare to hear a message from the depths.
The white whale. Even at my size, with recognition of results that speak for themselves, I move through these waters as a student first. Markets are alive. They shift, they trick, they punish arrogance and reward humility. The moment you think you've mastered them, they'll remind you how small you really are. I've learned that every chart, every liquidation map, every new protocol or narrative is an opportunity to sharpen the blade. That mindset keeps me dangerous, because the real edge isn't just size or notoriety. It's staying teachable, curious, and hungry, no matter how far you've already come. From the depths, the white whale.
Man. Moving in size, indeed. If you're unfamiliar with our partner of the show, the white whale, then you need to do yourself a favor. Head on over to TikTok or the website formerly known as Twitter and check out the white whale HL. He is indeed a whale, a 9-figure trader who demonstrates the kind of patience and fortitude and consistent, simple skill that any trader in any size, any investor could learn from. It's a mindset thing. And so shout out to the White Whale for sharing a little proprietary wisdom with us from the depths, and for partnering to power our show. It's a real honor, Mr. Whale. What do you think about that, Alex? You like that little sea voyage I took us on?
That was an experience. Yes.
I
Especially
might have
the part
to
where
work out some of the kinks.
the whale sounds accidentally just got so loud.
We got too close to the whale, man. We got too close.
As Ray said, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
We're going to need a bigger boat. That's correct. So check out the White Whale. And if you have questions for the White Whale, like how heavy is $1 million in Bitcoin, then, leave them in the comments. We would love to hear it. And I would love to ask you now, Alex, how would you, having that good kind of, perspective to orient us, how would you say somebody who is new and, appreciates the wisdom, but wants some practical, tactical advice gets started?
Couple things.
Okay.
Couple things. One, this is like nothing's an emergency. So don't panic. Whichever direction you're feeling inclined to panic in, don't panic. I think the most common mistake that I ever made was just like trying to do something because I felt like I had to, not because I felt like I understood it and was making the right choice. So that would be like my, vague platitude lesson number one. Don't panic, calm down. It's okay. I think the most important thing you can do is just start to demystify the jargon first. There's like 1,000 brand new words that get used constantly, and you need to kind of figure out what those things mean so you can understand what people are talking about when they're talking about it, and start to join those conversations, because a lot of this is a social game. It's a small industry on the bleeding edge of the tech space, and there's a lot of new nonsense and gibberish and gobbledygook to sift through. So, learning to speak the language is, I think, probably the most important thing. And then from there, try to understand why any of this matters. I made the point yesterday that if you're buying cryptocurrency, you are speculatively investing venture style into startup companies more often than you're not. And there's a specific way that you invest in startups compared to how you might invest in the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or something like that, or, a gold ETF or whatever. So understanding that nuance is also really important, especially if you plan to put money into something. Not all investing is created equal. So, if you're going to act like a VC, I would spend a little bit of time learning about venture capital and how people make decisions and how they allocate money and how they mitigate risk and how risky this stuff is, because, startups are risky. Tech startups are riskier. Crypto tech startups are riskier. So we got to keep that in mind. And then, it's tired, it's old advice, but it's extremely relevant. And I think that it's important to continuously reiterate, do not invest more than you can afford to lose, more than you're comfortable losing. Pretend you're spending the money, not investing it, because it could disappear. And all too often people look at the end result of what would be if it paid off, not what the end result would be if it went south. And they use that to bully themselves into spending more than they would like to becoming overinvested. So, for example, several years ago, I was feeling, we're middle of the bear market. I was like, I know I want to be buying something. I know I want to be investing in something. I've been here for years. I've watched this stuff. It's so much lower. I have high conviction in this. I really didn't have very much money to spend on investments. I really had to, my budget was super, super, super tight. And so I was constantly bullying myself out of buying a little bit of Bitcoin or a little bit of Solana or a little bit of ETH or a little bit of something else that was way, way down that I knew was going to come back, because I was like, well, if I can only afford to buy $30 of this month, even if it triples, what am I making, $60? That's not worth it. And it's just an unhealthy, toxic mindset to put yourself in that constantly puts yourself down, about, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So the second I got over that and I started thinking about it in terms of percentages and not in terms of specific dollar amounts, the rest will follow. I don't know. That's kind of just like my basic like get started wisdom. And then honestly, just like dive in. This is some of the coolest technology we've ever seen. This is some of the most exciting stuff I've ever learned about. This is some of the most like thrilling innovation we've seen in a very long time. Things that have like a very, very high chance and actively are changing the world for a lot of people. That's super, super cool. And I know that I want to be involved in it, which is why Evan and I have been doing this show for this long. So just like fall into something and start learning about something, you know, pick a thing, anything, and learn about it. And just be careful of people who are really aggressively pushing like one specific narrative would be my final piece. If you find somebody who is like way too gung-ho about one thing, if you ask them to list off a bunch of things that they don't like about it and they start to stutter and they can't do it, then that's probably not a teacher.
Yeah.
That's probably a sycophant, and sycophants don't give good advice.
You're total grifters.
Indeed.
These pests.
Yes, DJ Quigley. We appreciate you. And Alex, we appreciate you. Apple says, we are entering the part of the show that I needed in my life 3 years ago. Sage advice. And Robot Stecklerist says, how much is Alex an hour? And I deleted the rest of my question. I'm sure you meant for coaching. If you want to get in touch with Alex's sage wisdom, I've got 3 options for you. First, you can come to the Rise Up Morning Show or Rise Up After Dark. We are live Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, consistently, all the time. Wednesdays, we are also live at 7 p.m. Central. That's 12 a.m. UTC, meaning today, in about 11 hours, we're going to be live again. I'm trying to bug our friend Jim Perillo, who is a general partner at Figment Capital, to come talk to us about creator tokenomics, because you've heard Alex and I both just complain about how unimaginative these things are. And Jim had a really great article about how they are and honestly, how they might be better. So I think he would be really cool to talk to. And if you can't get enough Alex just from the show, from the recordings of the show on your favorite social, then you can come join the community at rumshq.com. And if you still can't get enough of him, then consider starting a premium membership. It's a totally free to try for 10 days thing. And after that, it's like $30 a month. You get more access, deep discounts to things like coaching. You can book Alex for a one-on-one coaching session. And you can get that time cheaper if you become a premium member. You will save more than the cost of membership on every coaching session. You can book me. You can book Will. You can come to office hours. We have a dedicated group of people every week who get together and basically get on a call and talk about like, this is what my portfolio is. This is what I'm learning. Alex is going to start hosting them now that he's on Tybee Island. So really, truly, the only thing missing is you. You look like you had a comment. Go for it.
Yeah, just not to talk myself out of a job here, but if you're kind of like on the edge and you're curious about whether or not, you know, you don't know which direction to go, it's worth it to join the community for free and ask a few questions first, or just like hang out on the show before you spend money.
Yeah. No need to spend a dime.
Find the direction a little bit first.
But if you are trying to like spend money and you're buying everybody's course, like don't go spend $2,000 with some influencer who's going to teach you how to day trade. Like you just need to be in a dedicated community of people who are going to help you avoid the pitfalls. We got some of those coming up, who are going to help you save time, save money, accelerate your learning journey. That's the alpha. We really do mean it when we say the only thing missing is you.
And buy the mug. That's
and buy the mug, you know. I haven't sold a mug in a minute, so if you want to support the show, you can buy the official morning show mug. But also, you know, it's the only mug that makes you look better while you're drinking your coffee. We've got a question for Alex that's coming up. Look forward to this. What's the highest percentage profit you've taken in your life on crypto? I think they mean maybe in a single trade. What's your best ROI? So stay tuned for that. I would like your answers to that question in the comments. And I would like your final questions and final thoughts, because it's about that time we're going to ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset. So your most profitable trades, Alex and I, we're going to give our answers to that in just a second. Final questions. And while he thinks about it and tries to remember, because you know he's got so many, I am going to give you just a couple more practical, tactical ways to enact Alex's sage advice. We told you about the community. That's our solution for you. But there are a couple of other really good resources. If you're listening to a hypester, you're trying to learn crypto, it can be hard to know where to start. You're probably on TikTok or Twitter or YouTube trying to find information, and I am going to give you a couple of really good primary sources. It's one thing to hear about this stuff from an influencer. It's even better to hear about it directly as it's happening from the people who work here. Shout out to John Boyle on X, who asked a minute ago, can we get some copeium for the XRP army after the recent Swift Chainlink announcement that their CTO, David Schwartz, is now stepping down? He said, Alex, please be kind. And I think this is a great example of, you could go to an influencer for this and they might break the news to you honestly. But did you know you can follow a lot of these companies directly? And probably the easiest way to find most of them, at least right now, is on the website formerly known as Twitter. If I go to Twitter and I do a quick search, I can find a couple of really good primary sources confirming this news. That, in fact, Ripple CTO David Schwartz announces he's stepping back to join the board of Ripple as Chief Technology Officer Emeritus. This is from Cointelegraph. Cointelegraph, if you've never seen them before, you'll see that they are a trusted crypto media source since 2013. Add it to your tool belt. Follow them. Check what they say, but follow them. That's a helpful source. And did you know, if you're looking for information about Swift's most recent announcement that they have decided to build their own blockchain with consensus on top of Ethereum Layer 2 Linnea, you can find that announcement on their X page. They're on X too. And so is their partner, Consensus. They're going to give you direct primary information. This is where, if your influencer friends are smart, they're going to go for their news directly to the source. And maybe you don't like Twitter. So I'm going to give you another couple of primary sources, including a few for beginners. My favorite primary source is unchainedcrypto.com. Unchained is a news media publication. They've got blogs, they've got videos, they've got guides, they've got places you can learn, and they produce 3 shows. One of them is Laura Shin's one-on-one interviews with the most prominent people in our industry. She gets the timeliest topics and guests, the most relevant stories happening right now. They've got the chopping block. Alex suggested you learn to think like a VC. Here's a show with 4 different venture capitalists who work in the industry, who invest in all these companies, who are giving you their inside perspective on the news of the day. And they've also got a macro focused show, Bits and Bips, that'll teach you about like the trends in the broader economy. It'll go a little deeper into, if you're an investor or trader, the kinds of things that might be interesting to you. And they also always have industry experts and insiders as guests. Great primary sources. When you hear them on Unchained, you go follow them on X. You join the conversation. You share it with a friend. And then the last source I'll give you, especially if you're a beginner, one of my very favorite resources to learn crypto is Chris Dixon. He's the lead Web3 investor and general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, storied venture capitalist firm, early internet entrepreneur, and a cogent, super clear and easy to listen to teacher about these very complex topics. For my money, there's nobody better at explaining what the crypto revolution is or why it might matter to you personally, except maybe Alex Popovich. Read, Write, Own is his book. It's about building the next era of the internet. It's like 150 pages. It assumes no previous technical experience. And if you want to try before you buy, then you can just search his name on any podcasting platform. I recommend the talk he did with Rick Rubin, the music producer, on Tetragrammaton. It's just over 2 hours. Listen to it on 2x speed while you take the dogs for a walk. And Chris breaks down almost all the concepts from the book. If you're struggling to understand crypto, you don't know where to get started, that's your checklist. Listen to Chris Dixon. Check out Unchained Crypto. Come back and hang out with us on the Rise Up Morning Show and in the community. And if you're holding XRP, just remember, even though Swift is not building their blockchain on Ripple, that doesn't necessarily mean that they won't use the currency XRP or RLUSD for settlements. Although I think there are a couple higher competitors who are a little more likely on the list. Have you met my friend USDT? USAT, USDC? I don't need to go there. There's your copium. Don't despair, but also,
Well, I would say too, if you want some more copium. Never underestimate the power of a good brand.
No, and boy, does
And-
Ripple have a great brand.
XRP's got a great brand. So it's kind of one of those things, you know. Is this news funny? Yes. Yes, it is.
So funny.
It's hilarious. It added a year to my life. In a world of things that only take them away, this gave me one back, and that was for that. For that, we thank you. But so far, fact check me. The sentiment of the XRP community is, we don't care. This is nonsense.
The price
You're
went
all-
up yesterday, dude.
You're all idiots. Don't capitulate. They're just trying to get your XRP. To quote Jesse Ventura from Predator, these guys are dug in like an Alabama tick. And they don't care what the news says. They don't care what the updates are. They don't care who's building what where. They don't care who's using what, when, how much. They know what they know. And that brand is strong as hell. And it's probably not going anywhere. However, the question that I would be asking myself is, how long can a brand run without something fundamental to prop it up? Or have we already hit escape velocity and we don't care about that? Which is
That's a
also
good question.
possible.
And when the cycle goes away, like when it is a downtrend in prices,
Mhm.
what's the new floor going to be? Are
Mhm.
people going to hang on? Will there be exciting announcements and builds? They have been doing a lot. They've had a lot of really impressive acquisitions lately. They've launched a couple of new products. And so they, unlike many crypto companies, have remained relevant for a long time. They've got some staying power, and it's still early.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anybody's game, man.
Yeah. They
Anybody's
absolutely
game. And shout out to the people who did the right thing. I saw Ski is in the audience. I know he bought the farm, literally, with XRP. Bought it
Yeah.
at what, 50 cents?
are. Okay, but
And then
wait.
did the smart thing. And when
Yeah,
it went
what
up,
did he do?
up, he took profits.
He did what?
He took profits.
I'm sorry. What was that?
He took profits, baby.
XRP Army, let this be a lesson to you. You look, I see you. You deserve profits, just like everybody.
I
With
stand
conviction.
corrected. He bought it at 30 cents.
Well,
So we're talking
like
a cool, probably, 10x for this brother.
The point is, though, that he did the thing, which was make an investment with conviction and then reward himself when it went really well.
That's right.
I have been, I'm sure many of us can commiserate here with the idea of round tripping. I've seen some comments about round tripping. Round tripping is the colloquial term for holding a bag from 0 to 100 and then right back to 0. I've been there. I've looked at a portfolio at a time when I really couldn't afford to not do this. I've looked at a portfolio that was worth more than $200,000, and then I did absolutely nothing because I was like, nah, this is bubkiss. It's going higher. Listen to everyone telling me it's going to go higher, and then guess what? It didn't, and it went all the way back down, and I lost pretty much all of it because I didn't pay myself back for making a good decision, and I'll never make that mistake again. So the answer to the question, what is my best return?
That's where
It's
we're
honestly
going
not-
next. Yeah.
It's not that amazing. It's not like something where I can sit here and say, 40,000% on something or 100x on this or that or whatever. It was probably the fact that I started buying Solana at just under $20, and here we are. I'm also very proud of the fact that my average buy prices for everything in my portfolio are so low that if the markets drop 50% from here, and then I think from there probably we could go down another 25-30%, I would still be in the green. But it would never get that far because I take profits on days like today. Take it a little tiny bit because I was buying through that whole deep correction at the end of September there. I was adding, and now I am eliminating. So I always keep exposure to both sides of the spectrum. If we're going to continue to go up, I want to make sure that I have exposure to the things I believe in. So I always keep some. I never sell the entire position. And then if we're going to go down, I always want stable coins to buy the things that I like and believe in so that when we go back up again, I have more exposure to them. So I never buy with the whole bag. I never sell the whole bag. So right now I am probably, I think I'm about 60-40. 60% Solana, 40% Sol-based USDC. And that's only because that's the one that I swing trade.
Be like
So-
Alex.
Wow.
You've heard this story before, but people may be surprised to know that like my greatest single return on a trade actually was totally a fluke, and it was SafeMoon. You remember this, Alex? This is one of the early
Oh, I
meme
remember.
coins on Binance Smart Chain. Before there were meme coins on Solana, there were meme coins on Binance Smart Chain. It was one of many alternatives to ETH, to Ethereum, at a time when gas prices, transaction times, when ETH was proof of work, they were expensive. It was slow. You could not really do meme coin trading on a chain like ETH. So Binance innovated the Binance Smart Chain, made it accessible to US customers, and said, hey, come trade tokens fast, cheap here. And people started launching these memes. There was a decentralized exchange there called Pancake Swap, where you could, paste the contract address and get any token you wanted. They did
If
not
you
have a
knew
pumped-out
Evan-
fun.
If you knew
Yeah.
Evan back in the day, Evan was a pancake maxi.
A big-time Pancake Maxi.
A lot of phone calls where Evan would tell me all about his pancake strategy for retirement.
I was obsessed.
He was
And
obsessed
I
with pancakes.
did well, but I
Yeah.
mostly held on too long.
Yep.
Broke even, and then got out. It was not a victory. It was a victory in education, in experience. It was not a victory in profits, but victory in profits I had was on SafeMoon. And listen to this, man. Honestly, this is how I know it was lucky. I was on Cake, looking around at all the things I could do there, their DEX token. And I think TikTok knew I was into crypto because they sent me a video where an influencer was talking about SafeMoon. And he was like, it's a new meme token. It just launched like 3 hours ago or something. I was like, oh my God, this is wild. And I threw a nominal amount of money in, like, a lottery ticket amount of money. And it did like a 15 or 30x. It was like not a lot of money. And then all of a sudden it was significant to me money. And I was like, wow. And I immediately sold it. I knew this had to be a fluke. And I couldn't have timed it more perfectly. I don't know who that guy was. I've never seen him again. I don't know why he chose to make a TikTok, or why the universe chose to send it to me, or how I had the good prescience to sell it. But that was totally luck. The best investment decision I've probably ever made was the decision to automate buying a little bit of Bitcoin every single day. I use river.com to do it. I have not seen the kinds of I didn't see a 15 or 30x from that, but check back with me in 20 years. And I bet over time, that'll be the best thing I've ever done with dollars that have come into my hand to make more with them. Outside of like feeding myself to stay alive so I can get up and do the show. And I didn't see any comments roll through. So post your comments again. If you've got a particular win that you want to share, if you've got a last final thought, a question, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom. Ruzen says 3x on Trump coin. Ha ha. Congratulations.
Crushed it.
I absolutely love it. Alex, have you got a final thought for us? Apple's final thought is, I was on Cake. Sounds like a great start of a rock and roll tour story. Yeah, man. We got a couple of those in the bank.
No, I think looking forward to After Dark. Should be fun. If we have a guest, great. If we don't, then I don't know. We'll find a way to get more unhinged.
We might have to have Cosmic Popovich on After Dark. They said they got a 75x on Brett. I believe it. We have some more questions rolling in. I see Rada's question here. I see David's question. Can we get a bathroom guy coin? Solano says, y'all get profits. How long will this bull run last? If you've got a question for the rest of the day, leave it in the community. We would love to see you. We've talked about story before. We've talked about the bull run before, but we're glad to talk about it again. And we'd like to talk about it with you. So jump in the community, come back to the show. And then, my friends, ask us your crypto questions. Thank you for being the very best part of what we do. We will see you tonight on Rise Up After Dark. And until then, everybody, stay safe. Be well. Rise up.